You're watching Credlin. I'm Rowan Dean, and thank you so much for watching. Well, it's the Queen's birthday weekend, and yet one of the first things the new Albanese government decided to do was appoint an assistant minister for the Republic, just as the Queen was celebrating both her Platinum Jubilee and her birthday. In a second, we'll have a chat to Professor David Flint, who is one of the key figures in winning the 1999 Republican referendum for the monarchists. But now, 2 decades on, are Australians really interested in Albo's Republic? We thought, who better to ask than the people? Joining me now is one of Peter's Monday night regulars for her weekly segment, Word on the Street, with Erin Molan. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Queen's birthday weekend. You've been out and about. You've been finding out whether Australians... Do you think Australians want to go down through all this all over again?
I suspect you're a blunt man, Rowan. Thank you very much for having me. The answer's no. And we looked far and wide for someone to be passionate about a republic and couldn't find one. In fact, the only passion that we found on this topic, which is bizarre, given obviously there's no cost of living pressures or an energy crisis, but the only passion we found was for the monarchy and for the Queen. Now, you mentioned 1999 in the referendum for Australia to become a republic, and every state and territory voted majority no, except the ACT there. Matt Thistlethwaite, I know that's no surprise either, has come out and said that he's got 3 years now essentially to educate Australians on this issue. I think probably the better word would be convince.
I'd say so.
They say it's a second-term priority, the voice to Parliament's the first term, but people genuinely couldn't really care less on this. Take a listen.
I don't mind the idea of a republic, but so far I haven't actually seen a proper solution to that. So that's probably the thing that I'm waiting to see and hear about.
No, I like the Queen. I like the monarchy, yeah.
Our Queen has been in our lives since we were born. There she's going to stay until the end. I don't think it's necessary. The monarchy is wonderful.
I'm not a royalist, but I don't think that she interferes with our government.
No, I'm quite happy to have the Queen or the royal family in power.
I agree, same. We don't want to get rid of the Queen. We love the Queen.
All those countries that have royal families are more stable than those Republican countries. You look at America, you look at other countries, where we have the royal family, there is stability.
Yeah, look, that's probably a hard argument to prosecute entirely. You look at Nepal, you look at Greece. Not everywhere is stable that has a monarchy, but I tend to look at the issue as you have the question, what is wrong with the way it works currently and what would be gained from changing it? And for the moment, there's no good argument being prosecuted that I can see.
But I think you're right to raise the question of what this Assistant Minister for Propaganda, there I said, the Minister for the Republic is going to be doing. I mean, in 3 years, if there's nothing happening, you've got a ministerial position wandering around. He's going to presumably be going to schools, trying to convince people. Is this...
Well, the interview was in The Guardian, and as I said, his response, he said that his job will be to educate Australians. I don't know who needs much education on this issue, but clearly it's a justification of a position.
Exactly. Now, the new Labor government has promised that they're not going to waste a single day. So this will be one of the things. They're not going to waste a single day of the Republic, but on so many other things, Erin, and they clearly mean it, like the Republic, the voice to Parliament, you've got ending the climate wars. There's all this kind of left-wing, big agenda, radical left-wing government stuff we have seen. But do you think the public are at this stage, remembering 7 out of 10 Australians didn't vote for Albo, do you think what did you find that the public are warming to Albo? Do they think he's doing okay? What was your responses?
It's a great question, and you make the point that 7 out of 10 people didn't vote for him. So you almost can't have buyer's remorse if you didn't buy him, can you? And it's interesting. I suspect it will come. I think it's still a little bit early for buyer's remorse, but it's the psychology behind blaming governments for everything is really fascinating. And I wrote a few columns on this prior to the election campaign being called, and spoke to a professor who really digs deep into it. So I think regardless of what they do, that honeymoon period will wear off and people will get over it, basically. But cost of living immediately hasn't eased. In fact, it's gotten worse since the Albanese government came into power. You look at the energy crisis, we're being warned about blackouts in New South Wales and Queensland. But despite that, he's done well on the world stage. And when you've got hosts on this network praising him in that regard, he must be doing something right. But he hasn't been tested yet. He's done handshake ops and easy appearances everywhere else in the world. He hasn't been tested yet, but so far people seem to think he's done a fairly good job.
Excellent.
He's doing pretty well, 8 out of 10.
Again, early days, I think he's doing quite a fine job.
He's doing great so far, but he hasn't done too much. But he's done everything right so far, I think.
But I think so far he seems to have been fairly well received, and he seems to be on the front foot with a lot of things, which is great to see after such a long time of apparent inaction.
With time, I personally think, yeah, he'll be good.
There you go.
Fantastic. So there's clearly some. I guess people are wait and see, but normally people are very quick to judge, aren't they? They're like, oh, you know,
No.
I don't like him, I don't like her.
Not in this
whatever.
country, Rowan. They wouldn't be at all. They'd get to know someone genuinely first.
Yeah.
No, but the people seem to be giving him a little bit of time to get stuff on. And so far, he hasn't monumentally screwed anything up. So I think that's enough for us.
Fantastic.
We've got low standards. Thanks, Rowan.
Erin Molan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Enjoy what's left of the Queen's birthday
Absolutely.
weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks.